and let us all do we can to build a better future.
So MTG, you know me, is a little upset. MTG is, she got upset because something took place in Washington, D.C., where there was a supposed well-organized, heaven forbid, goodness gracious, cretaceous, an organized insurrection event taking place at the Capitol. Oh, God, it's January 6th, 2.0. Everybody run. Oh, wait, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. MTG, you know me, was upset at the fact that there were people just calling for a ceasefire. Hey, can we have peace? Can we have a ceasefire? There was a whole bunch of protesters, activists, Jewish protesters in the rotunda of the Cannon Building in Washington, D.C., screaming, "Not in our name," in protest against the atrocities Israel is committing against the Palestinian people in Gaza. So let's play it, because apparently MTG is saying that this is an organized insurrection. Wow, look at all those guns and rocket launchers and people wearing body armor and threatening to destroy the U.S. Constitution. Oh, wait, I don't see any of that in there. I see a bunch of people protesting. Ain't nothing new. And again, let's pull up this image here. Apparently, Citizen Free Press wants to say that there is a currently well-organized insurrection taking place. Okay. Okay. This looks nothing like an insurrection. And I'll say the same thing for January 6th, too. January 6th was just people being stupid. Just really, really dumb. Okay? And mind you, again, look at how many cops are around them, too. You know, again, this is not in the Capitol building. This is at the Cannon Building. So, you know, big difference. You know, there's no politicians here that are going to be triggered and saying, "Oh, I have PTSD," like AOC. But like AOC, apparently this was just triggering MTG. You know me. So again, why am I talking about MTG? Because apparently her and AOC are easily triggered, are easily perturbed. Here's MTG. You know me. Saying, "This is an insurrection."
These people. This is an insurrection. Throw these people out. What is happening?
MTG, what are you doing? MTG, why are you spazzing? Why are you crying? Why are you crying? Again, these are protesters calling for a ceasefire because, again, we are seeing on social media the horrific and devastating imagery of the bombings in Gaza, the airstrikes, the military tactical strikes against civilians. Yeah, those are difficult to look at. But don't tell it to MTG because, again, as she's saying here, this is an insurrection. MTG, you know me. You sound like AOC.
These people. This is an insurrection. Throw these people out. What is happening?
But it gets hilarious because apparently somebody actually gets into MTG's space and just says, "Hey, you know," but mind you, again, I've seen MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and others of the political spectrum do this to liberal Democrats. So, hey, it's tit for tat. Everybody does this to each other, which is why I say abolish all political parties. Democratic voters, Republican voters, wake up. You don't need to be associated with people like MTG and AOC.
These people are not for peace. You can tell it's the same kind of movement that started with BLM, and it'll be the same kind of violent movement later on. They don't want peace.
So Let Gaza live! Let Gaza live! Let Gaza live! Murderers go home! Murderers go home! Let Gaza live! end the genocide instead of funding it. Blood is on your hands. Gaza's blood is on your hands. Gaza's blood is on your hands. Gaza's blood is on your hands. Let Gaza live.
These people.
So, of course, what does Marjorie Taylor Greene do? MTG, you know me, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. I am formally requesting that the United States Capitol Police preserve all video surveillance footage, photographic evidence, police reports, and arrest records from all House office buildings on October 18th, 2023. So she's sending this all out. Dear Chief Manager, so MTG, you know me, is acting like a Karen. I am formally requesting that the United States Capitol Police preserve all video surveillance, photographic evidence, police reports, and arrest records from all House office buildings on October 18th, 2023. The group that organized the insurrection, Jewish Voice for Peace. Get this, I hope you're sitting down, is a pro-Islamic, anti-Semitic group. So, Jewish Voice for Peace. To the Jewish people who are part of the Jewish Voice for Peace, congratulations. You are now a pro-Islamic and anti-Semitic. You crossed that finish line, baby. MTG, you know better. That seeks the destruction of the state of Israel according to the Anti-Defamation League. Wow. By launching an insurrection. MTG, you and AOC are crazy. You have to be like washed up actresses who are like going over our scripts like, hey, AOC, I'm thinking like this week, I'm going to call these people insurrectionists, and then you're going to be like angry and yell at me, and then we're going to have her back and forth. I can't wait, MTG. By launching an insurrection in the Capitol complex, these actors, cause elevators to be shut down. Oh no, staircases and hallways to be blocked. Oh goodness gracious, Cretaceous. Exits to be made inaccessible. Someone call never mind. An official legislative business to be obstructed, putting members of Congress, their staffs, and Capitol visitors at risks. So I guess with the exits being made inaccessible, Jamal Bowman up! Hit that fire alarm! The Committee on House Administration must investigate this incident and review all footage and evidence provided by Capitol Police, and the insurrectionists involved must be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Sincerely, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Member of Congress, MTG, you know me. She sounds like a Karen, man. Hey, let's have democracy in the chat. Doesn't MTG sound just like all those shell-shocked, vote blue no matter who, liberals and Democrats on January 6th? Type 1 for no. MTG is absolutely correct. This was an insurrection, and we nearly lost our republic because people were protesting and calling for a ceasefire. Type 2. Man, MTG's on her bull. She's on her bull. She's on her bull. You know, again, look. She's like, this is an insurrection. What's happening here? In case you missed it or you're just tuning in, here's MTG saying like, this is going to destroy everything.
These people are not for peace. You can tell it's the same kind of movement that started with BLM, and it'll be the same kind of violent movement later on. They don't want peace.
So let Gaza live. Let Gaza live. Let Gaza live. Murderers go home. Murderers go home. Let Gaza live! Let Gaza live! Let Gaza live! End the genocide! End the genocide! End the genocide! End the genocide!
All members of Congress should be spoken to with criticism. And let's face it, Congress doesn't represent us. They don't. So when I say I don't respect our politicians because they don't respect us, it's important for us to confront them. This is an article from Common Dreams. Not in our name. Hundreds arrested at U.S. Capitol as Jewish-led protest demands Gaza ceasefire. But according to MTG, Jewish Voice for Peace, they're pro-Islamic and anti-Semitic, and they want to destroy the state of Israel. Nobody said that, MTG. You sound like AOC. If I'm repeating myself, well, too bad. Because every time January 6th is brought up, I roll my eyes. because I know that January 6th was a complete waste of time, and the Democrats like to harp on it. And now, very similar to what I've said on the show before, on how both Democratic and Republican lawmakers are the same, MTG is going to be using what? October 18th as the day we almost lost democracy. How? How's that going to happen? These politicians are nothing but triggered little drama snowflake babies. They're not tough people. None of them are. From the old dogs in the Democratic and Republican Party to the vultures waiting in the wings to swoop in and take their spots like AOC and MTG. Look, again, let's be very clear here what's happening in Gaza. Huge shout out to the good friend of the show, Nico House, who's been speaking truth to power. Play just a few minutes of this video.
So I want to talk about this bombing that happened at a hospital in Gaza at the hands of Israel. And I want to be very clear about that. There is almost 100% likelihood that Israel did this. So let me start off by saying, this video isn't for you if you are not prepared to think critically. This video is not for you if you are subject to Western imperialist propaganda. This video is not for you if you are not here to find and create resolution. But what this video is for is to expose and debunk the inconsistent bullshit that we keep seeing coming from that side. So this guy, Hanania Neftali, says that the mysterious explosion in Gaza is being blamed on Israel by Hamas, but he believes it was a failed rocket that hit the hospital. He believes it was a failed rocket. Okay. But what you didn't see is that Hanania, the guy who works directly under Netanyahu, put out a tweet that he deleted where he admitted Israel Air Force struck Hamas terrorist base inside a hospital in Gaza. A number of terrorists are dead. He admitted it and deleted it. Then Israel's Twitter put out a tweet saying, from an operational analysis from IDF, the enemy rocket was sent towards Israel in the vicinity of the hospital, and that's what it hit it. And they put out the video confirming this operational analysis. But in that original post, the video they posted was confirmed to have nothing to do with the hospital bombing. But they're still pushing the same original narrative that they attached in the original post. In other words, Israel got caught lying in 4K? Again? Oh, must be a Tuesday. Oh, but the blatant dumbassery doesn't stop there. See, the Pentagon didn't get the call in time from BB to get their story straight. So before BB could come out and deny the attack and blame Hamas, the Pentagon puts out a statement justifying why they did it because Hamas, they put people in hospitals. So it's really Hamas's fault that Israel is bombing a hospital full of innocent people. Then you got these motherfuckers who just started paying attention to this 4 days ago, talking about I've known Israel for 4 days. He's my fucking best friend. He'd never do something like that, except for, yeah, he has.
Very true. Again, the record speaks for itself. Now, I'm going to continue playing on with the rest of the video because if MTG, you know me, is listening, or anyone in her staff, does it not seem reasonable for people to protest and end this war? To quote Donald Trump, because this is I'm going to keep on using it. He might have been the first one to say it, but I like it. I just want people to stop dying. Isn't that nice? Isn't that a little bit? But isn't that something we can all agree on? Maybe end the wars, because mind you, again, there probably might have been, there could have been, possibly the scenario of peace. Maybe. But because we have such a sick system and politicians who are downright sociopathic have allowed the continuation of conflicts, not only in between Palestine and Israel, but worldwide. Because war is good for business. War is good for the media. War is a good way to control the populace and make sure we can never really think critically and ask, hey, why is everyone fighting and killing each other? Why don't people just stop dying? How about we just stop that from happening? But apparently, if you were going to be critical of Israel and protest, which is, again, your fundamental right as a U.S. citizen, you have that right for free speech as long as we still have it. It is in your right to protest, but apparently that's called an insurrection. What happened yesterday on October 18th was not an insurrection. And just to trigger people and everything else, what happened on January 6th was sure as hell not an insurrection. And no, I don't want the people who protested on October 18th to be photographed, arrested, detained. Just like the same thing happened on January 6th. It's all stupid. Democrats, Republican voters, Democratic voters, Republican voters, wake up. The politicians are playing this game to divide you. All right. All while ignoring the fact that there's a destruction of a people happening in real time in 4K.
Israel has done this. They've bombed hospitals before. Here's an example from 2014 where they bombed a hospital and 4 people died, but you didn't know about that because CNN didn't do wall-to-wall coverage of them bombing the hospital. Oh, but if Hamas bombed the hospital in Tel Aviv, oh my God, World War III would have been broken. We would still be in the middle of World War III if that shit happened in 2014. Israeli officials, U.S. officials, U.S. media, Israeli media, all of them have spent the last 4 or 5 days explaining to you why they feel as if it is justified to attack Gaza civilians, claiming that they're being used as human shields by Hamas. They've literally been justifying it this entire time. So why is it that when the Israeli government, the IDF, does actually attack civilians, you're all like, that's crazy. They would never do anything like that. Except for they've literally been telling you for the last several days, yeah, we absolutely would do something like that. And here are all the reasons why we're okay with that. And the wildest part about this entire situation is the fact that Israel keeps using the justification that Hamas is hiding amongst civilians without ever mentioning the fact that, well, I guess Hamas has the same ability to use the exact same justification, huh? Because basically, at some point, potentially, every Israeli could be or is part of the IDF. So what's to stop Hamas or other Palestinian liberation organizations from just attacking civilians and using the same excuse? But that excuse would never fly, would it? Because the only difference between Hamas and Israel is that y'all only choose to call one a terrorist organization, despite the fact that the other has killed countless more civilians. These are the fucking facts.
Didn't want to interrupt Nico House for speaking the truth, because let's face it, MTG needs to hear it. But according to her, oh my God, MTG is so triggered. MTG is so afraid that there was a protest taking place. It was like an insurrection. It was a nightmare. It was so frightening. It was so scary because what's going on? Is there going to be any kind of accountability? Let's be clear here. Let's be very, very, very clear here. We have to look at how our politicians are trying to portray this entire horrific event, especially that's taking place between Israel and Palestine. We are witnessing in real time thousands upon thousands of deaths taking place. But all the while, if we choose to be critical of it, of any kind of war, we're deemed a villain. We're deemed terrible. People protesting the war in Gaza, Republican lawmakers will say, they're the villains. People protesting the war in Ukraine, Democratic politicians, surprise, surprise, are going to call those protesters, those critics, villains, bad guys. Don't you get the overall theme? If you protest war, you're the bad guy. And no matter what, both parties are going to play their games on what wars are good and what wars are bad. The American people need to wake up. The politicians will continue to lie to you, and the politicians will continue to play this game with you. And there's a reason why they play this game with you, because they know they can control you through fear, media manipulation, and lies. Because they don't like you. They don't think about you. And then finally, just to really put salt in the wound, these politicians across the political spectrum do not respect you. It is our fundamental right to protest, as it should be.